Welcome to the series of Blender tutorials. This tutorial is about the Properties window in Blender 2.59. This script has been contributed by Sneha Deorukkar and Bhanu Prakash and edited by Monisha Banerjee. After watching this tutorial, we shall learn what is the Properties window, what are the Scene panel, World panel and Object panel under the Properties window, what are the various settings in Scene panel, World panel and Object panel under the Properties window. I assume that you know the basic elements of the Blender interface. If not, then please refer to our earlier tutorial, Basic Description of the Blender Interface. The Properties window is located on the right-hand side of our screen. We have already seen the first panel of the Properties window and the settings in the previous tutorial. Let's see the next panels in the Properties window. First, we must resize our Properties window for better viewing and understanding. Left-click the left edge of the Properties window. Hold and drag to the left. We can see the options in the Properties window more clearly now. To learn how to resize the Blender windows, see our tutorial How to Change Window Types in Blender. Left-click the second icon at the top row of the Properties window. This is the Scene panel. Camera is the active camera used for rendering the scene. Units determines the scale of the objects in the scene. This is very useful and important for animating in Blender. By default, Units is set to none and degrees. Left-click Metric. Now, all objects in our scene will be measured in meters. Take a look at gravity. Notice that the XYZ units of gravity have changed to meters per second square. Gravity comes in use when we animate objects using physics in Blender. We shall see that in later tutorials. Left-click the third icon at the top row of the Properties window. This is the World panel. Here, we can change the world settings or background settings of Blender. Left-click Blend Sky. The preview changes to gradient color, but the 3D view looks the same. So, how do we know that the background has actually changed? Press F12 to render the active camera view. Now, we can see the change in the background. Close the render display. Left-click Zenith Color. Choose a color from the menu. I am selecting white. Now, the background will be rendered with a black and white gradient. Other settings in the World panel are Ambient Occlusion, Environment Lighting, Indirect Lighting, Gather, Mist, Stars. These settings will be covered in more advanced tutorials about lighting in Blender. Left-click the fourth icon at the top row of the Properties window. This is the Object panel. Here are the settings for the active object. By default, the cube is the active object. So all the settings here are for the cube. Transform determines the location, rotation, and scale of the active object. Left-click X0 under Location. Type 1 on your keyboard and press Enter. The cube moves forward by 1 unit on the x-axis. So, this is how we can use the object panel to move, rotate, and scale the active object. This is very useful while animating keyframes in Blender. Right-click Camera in the 3D view. Notice how the units for location, rotation, and scale under Transform in the object panel have changed. These are the settings for the selected camera. Next setting is Relations. Here we can specify the layer and parent for our active object. Left-click the second square under Layers. The camera is now hidden. In fact, it has been moved to the second layer. Since the layer is hidden, the camera gets hidden too. Go to View at the bottom left corner of the 3D view. Left-click to open the menu. Select Show All Layers. The camera can be seen again in the 3D view. Layers is very useful when working with multiple objects in one scene. Left-click Parent under Relations in the Object panel. Parent is the most important animation tool used in all 3D animation softwares. We will use this a lot in the Blender animation tutorials. Select Cube. The camera has been parented to the cube. The cube is the parent object and the camera is the child object. Let us see what this means. Right-click to select the cube in the 3D view. Left-click the blue handle, hold, and move your mouse up and down. The camera moves up and down along with the cube. Left-click on screen to confirm a new location for the cube. Right-click Camera in the 3D view. Now, go back to Parent in the Object panel. Left-click Parent. Press Backspace on your keyboard and hit the Enter key. The camera is no longer parented to the cube. It snaps back to its original position in the 3D view while the cube remains in the new position. This means that parenting does not change the original transform settings of the child object. So, in this tutorial, we have covered Scene panel, World panel, and Object panel under the Properties window. The rest of the panels shall be covered in the next tutorial. Now, go ahead and create a new blend file. Change Scene Units to Metric. Change World Color to Blend Sky Red and Black. This tutorial is created by Project OSCAR and supported by the National Mission on Education through ICT. More information on the same is available at the following links: oscar.iitb.ac.in and spoken-tutorial.org/nmeict-intro. The Spoken Tutorial project conducts workshops using spoken tutorials, also gives certificates to those who pass an online test. For more details,
please write us to contact@spoken-tutorial.org.
Thanks for joining us. And this is Monisha from IIT Bombay signing off.